Hello, everyone. Good evening. And this is Dr. Naji here now. And I'm going to talk to you how I first met Mother Teresa in Calcutta, India, way back in 1975. I'm a what you call qualified Western doctor with my uh, MD, and I'm also a fellow in nutritional and environmental medicine. Okay, my disclaimer here is this lecture is not a medical advice. Please consult your doctor in case of any health issues. I do not represent any drug company. Whatever I'm sharing is my personal experience in the 40 years of practicing medicine. And to me, both the green medicine and the red medicine are equally important and we need it. But the question is, when do we need uh, what you call red medicine and when do we need green medicine? That's what I'm going to tell and share with you all. This is where I am mainly practicing the passion of my life. Okay, that is complementary integrated medicine. I am also having 5 other clinics and 10 doctors are working with me. My main business is industrial medicine, where we are consultants to more than 250 corporate clients. That is our TNB, the Electricity Board, Telecoms of Malaysia, banks, EPF, and many more multinational companies. And my flagship is with Volvo, the makers of Volvo car. We have been with them for the last 53 years. And till today, we still run their in-house clinic. Let me go back. I was born in a beautiful place called the Cameron Highlands. In the early 50s, it was totally different. Okay, and my dad had 25 acres of tea estate. The air was clean, the water was good, and you could go into the jungles and pluck strawberries and eat the vegetables and all that. There was no problem about insecticides, pesticides, and so forth. What I'm going to share, what really has happened over the last 50 over years. One of the unique things in my life, my late father, Dr. Harban Singh, sold his 25 acres of tea estate just for one thing. He had a passion and ambition to become a doctor and help others. But when he finished his senior Cambridge in KL, and he had 5 decisions, he was very happy because he thought he was assured a place in what we call Singapore University. But then Second World War broke out, education all was stopped, and then that's where they decided to go over to Cameron Highlands. He started work, and he also got married. And every time he would tell my mother that he wanted to become a doctor, and my mother was the real iron lady who encouraged my father, if you have a passion, don't stop it, go all out. And that's where he sold his 25 acres of tea estate to pursue his dream, his ambition to become a main doctor. Yes, he did become a doctor at the age of 45. Can you imagine doing medicine and getting a degree at 45 is not a joke. It was real tough because I've been a doctor, I know. He started work in University Hospital, and after 4 years, unfortunately, what you call, he had cancer, leukemia, and he died in my hands when I was a second year medical student. That really changed everything. And I was thinking, why can't we prevent earlier? You see my photograph here, okay, at what you call 23 years of age, a second year medical student. I was studying in the state of Bihar in India. This state of Bihar in India is where Lord Gautama Buddha, right? He was born near this place. He went to Bodh Gaya and sat under the Bodhi tree, right, and got his enlightenment. This is the place, Bihar, right? And at that time, after my dad's death, I was very depressed. I had TB. I was coughing out blood. I was losing weight. And I was also dying, right? I said, if I'm also dying, what is the purpose of life? all right? And that really took me to another pathway. And then I went down to Calcutta to meet a friend of mine. And his house, I think it is all ordained or designed by the universe, was just opposite Mother Teresa. And one day, we went to the top of the roof, and we were drinking beers, and we were young kids. Okay, you can imagine 24 years old, what we will do. We were smoking and drinking, and then my friend said, he says, Naji, can you see the lady opposite? I says, who? He said, the lady opposite. I says, yeah, I can see a lady. She's walking and doing some prayers. He said, that's Mother Teresa. I said, no, I don't think so. He says, call her. And that's where I yelled, Mother! I waved to her and she waved, The next day again, I saw her, Mother! I waved. And on the third day, what I decided to do, Mother! I gave her a flying kiss. And she gave me a flying kiss. And after that, she told me, come, right? Just by her sign language. And my friend, he says, Brother, Mother is calling you. You better go and see her. If we don't go and see her, she is going to complain to my mother, because they were all neighbors those days. My friend's mother will cook something, give to Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa will cook something, give to them. And she said, your sons are naughty. They are drinking, they are smoking, and they're disturbing me. So that was my first encounter with Mother. When I met Mother, she says, son, what are you doing? I says, Mother, I am a medical student. Oh, a doctor? She says, wonderful. I says, no, Mother, I'm not a doctor yet. I'm a medical student. She says, no, you are a doctor. I says, no, Mother, I'm a medical student. No, you are a doctor. I kept quiet. I says, I don't want to argue with Mother. Then she asked me a question. What do you want in your life? That question was very simple. I said, yes, Mother, I want money. She said, what? You want money? I said, yes, Mother. She says, what's the difference between you and a prostitute who also wants to make money? You are a professional doctor. He says, not that I'm a gay white, I went into prostitution. That could be another reason, because maybe some family needs. But I'm just generally saying, you've been a doctor and there's no difference, son, there's no difference. Come on, there must be something greater than that. A young boy of 24, he couldn't think, what else would he want? Then I asked Mother, what would you say? He says, son, always put love first, whatever you want to do. And then I asked, Mother, will that bring money? She says, test me, right? I just kept quiet. He says, okay, I'll ask you a second question. What would you do for your grandchildren? I said, Mother, I'm not married yet. She says, son, I'm also not married, but I have hundreds of children. Then she asked me, would you bring any child home and take care? I says, no, that's not my cup of tea. She said, it's okay. And at that point of time, she made a very famous statement, what you can do, I cannot. What I can do, you cannot. But together we can do great things. I just listened to her. He says, okay, doctor, I am going to ask you a third question. What would you do for Mother Earth? I said, Mother Earth? I was thinking, what can I do for Mother Earth? Honestly, I had no idea, right? And I was just silent in front of Mother Teresa. And then Mother laughed. She says, my son, you are too young. Okay, it's okay. You don't know the answers now, but one day you will know the answers and I will be no longer around and tears will roll down your eyes. If you look at this logo, right, the logo has got two hearts, a small heart, which is my heart or any human heart. The second heart is a big heart, right? And this big heart, that's where, when I started my life center, I remembered mother. Always put love. So when I started this wellness company called My Life Center in KL, I said, let me put mother's, what you call passionating love first. So I put love first. And the figure of the human being is depicting the headies of the world. So this is my health, my choice, the right way. So this is where the question, she says, will you bring any child? And I said, no. Okay. And this is what she says, I can do things you cannot, you can do things, but together we will do great things. And now it's become a famous quote. Lesson number 2 that I learned, she told me all organizations, every human being, every political party, any family, there are two things. Everybody has a weakness and everybody have a strength. It is like the two wolves inside you. The white wolf, who's always the strength, and the black wolf, which is the weakness or your negative things. Or as bulls. He says, he was telling me that if you would bring all the negative people together or the weaknesses, you will not be able to do anything. I listened. On the other hand, he says, my son, get all the strength of the various, what you call things, put them together, and that's where your strength lies. I told her, mother, give me an example. She says, that's where she went on to tell me the mainstream medicine, your Western medicine, is not a complete medicine. I says, no, I don't agree with you. She says, if it was complete, it would have got all the cures and nobody would be going to the so-called other therapies or alternative therapies. I just listened. I was a young medical student, right? So later on, what you call, when I started practicing, when I became a doctor, I'm going to show how I started practicing the integrated medicine, what Mother Teresa told me. And these are some of my 3 testimonials here. Okay, the first testimonial, this is a lady, an elderly lady, now 92, who just celebrated her birthday. 30 years ago, she had a bypass. And then with our therapists integrated, right, we what you call kept her heart well, and now she has no dementia, Alzheimer's. Her heart is still very good. Second testimony. This is a doctor, Dr. Jay Singh, who at what you call it about 60 plus got a massive heart attack, and 20 years ago, about 30% of his heart muscles were damaged. Because of that damage, he couldn't even put in a stent or go for a bypass. And he started something special called the EECP. And till today, he's still doing the EECP. In my life center, he is the first medical doctor to do this so-called integrated medicine and keep himself alive. This is another man where his heart was enlarged to, to philosophically tell, oh, you got a big heart, means very good. But anatomically, when someone has a big heart, that is not good. You will have shortness of breath, difficulty in breathing. His left atrium was about 45 inches, millimeters in diameter, not inches, millimeters. And after doing ECP for 35 times, it came back to normal. These are some of my testimonies that are medically based, evidence based. Actually, now I realize what mother told me was the birth of green medicine, the idea she sowed in my mind. Why is main medicine the red medicine? And what is red medicine? Have you ever seen healthy people going to hospitals and clinics? I haven't seen. Nobody has come, doctor, I'm healthy. What can you do? They will come, oh, I got fever. What can I do? You know, COVID is around the corner. I have diabetes, I have hypertension and so forth. So only sick people goes to hospital, right? Do the healthy go to the clinic? No. Then what do they do? Let me now switch over. Most of us have a car, right? Okay. When you have a car, when you buy a car, right, you get a manual, and the manual will tell, service your car regularly. then it will give you minimum problems, right? And what we service our car regularly, all right? Our body, okay? This body is just like a car. Unfortunately, God has never given us a manual when we are born. And therefore, one of the big mistakes we have made is that we never service our body. There are toxins produced by all the organs because all our organs are working 24/7. Does your heart ever says, "Hey, Pio, I'm going for a holiday 1 week"? No, you don't hear that. Or the liver says, or your what you call anal region says, "I'm going for a holiday." What will happen? Wow, there'll be a lockdown in the asshole. And when there's a lockdown in the asshole, what will happen? You cannot pass motion. And when you cannot pass motion, all the toxins will go up and you will have a lot of problems, right? Okay. So one of the things I'm going to tell you what green medicine does and what red medicine doesn't do. When the car needs to be serviced, you will take it to the serviceman. But if the car is broken down, you won't take it to the serviceman, you will take it to the mechanic. So I've equated here. The body and the car are same. Unfortunately, like I told you, no manual when we are born. If you look at this slide, red medicine, generally sick people go, right? They do surgeries, they go for chemotherapy, x-rays. On the other hand, green medicine is generally involves environment, wellness, and thoughts and feelings. What are the principles of green medicine first? The first thing is we must think about our environment, Mother Earth. Why? Because it gives us the air, the water, the sunlight, the food. That is very important. And then whatever we are having from the environment, what you call, can go to the next slide. Whatever is in the environment, the air, the water, you can see, we are breathing it. The same air, water from the environment is going in to our stomach, to our gut, all right, and then it comes out. So the other lesson in green medicine first is, if we keep our environment clean, healthy, we and our grandchildren will be living long. On the other hand, if we are chasing the money, the dollar sign, the pound sign, right, and we use more insecticides, pesticides, cut down the forest, all the chickens that we are rearing, we are injecting with the hormones, the fast foods. What does it mean? The more you eat, the faster you will get a disease and you will die faster. This looks good when we are chasing the money. In the long run, what do you want for your grandchildren? Now I understand what Mother Teresa was saying. Can we all raise a voice individually and say, we must stop the chemicals, we must purify the air, we must have good water, good air. That is definitely, this diagram shows what is around us will go inside. If good things are around us, good things will go in and we will live healthier. This is an example if you can see. And this was the front page of our Malaysian New State Times. Because of 2019, what a beautiful, what you call front page of New State Times. There's one single aeroplane flying, okay? And you can see the streak of fumes coming out. By the way, how many of you all are aware that every day, how many flights take off all over the world? In the air, there are no boundaries between Singapore and Malaysia, Malaysia and Thailand and so forth. The air moves freely, right? When there are 100,000 flights in a day, can you imagine the exhaust fumes from the aeroplanes? They are on top. What does they contain? They contain many kind of toxic poisons. Okay, they contain heavy metals, right? And these heavy metals, when rain comes down, snow comes down, it will be all over the land, all over the crops. There is no such one land in the whole of Mother Earth that you can call organic I'm very close with some of my German scientists. They said even the most organic place in Germany is 20% contaminated. Forget about other countries, okay? In the last 50 years, we have done so much of advancements in our science, research and development and technology. Can I ask, if we have done so much of research, are the hospitals and medical centers, why are there so many hospitals and medical? Are they more or less? If we have done so much of what you call progress, why are there so many hospitals? Something is not right. Why? This is common sense, right? We have made so much of progress and yet many people are getting sick. Do you know that the cancer rates, the heart attacks, and the complications of diabetes in most of the countries are 60% and more? That means every year, 60% of people are dying from this chronic degenerative diseases that can be cured much, much earlier just when you service your car. Red medicine is when we are sick, we are ill, we go, it's good. And green medicine is like servicing your car. You come early, we will know. But unfortunately, green medicine is not taught much in medical schools. Because I work with scientists from Russia, from Mongolia, from Germany, right? And Europe, they teach me differently. And I have learned some of the secrets of wellness. Today, the take-home message is very simple. You see, it's no point talking for hours, but I wanted to keep it short, simple, and sweet, that we must understand how to keep ourselves healthy. Okay, if I were to ask you, what would you want today? Do you want money or do you want health? Okay, only one thing. You can write down on your paper. Most people would want to go for wellness and health. And if you want to go for wellness and health, why? Because if you are healthy, you can make all the money in your life. But you may have all the money, but if you have no health, what use is it, tell me? We all know some billionaires, right, who had all the problems and died from cancer and other diseases. Is the money really going to help you? Question. Is it worth chasing the dollar sign? Is it going to bring you happiness? At the end, what do you want? Whatever you do, whether it's your work, your family, or going for a holiday, the end thing is we all want to be happy. We all want to be healthy, a green heart. We don't want to have all the money and have a red heart, right? Happiness is the key thing, right? And how do we get it? Yes, this is where there are many doctors like me who are trained in wellness, and they can help you all and guide you all to come out of your early issues and problems. Now, we should be part of the community service to take care of Mother Earth. I alone or many other NGOs, they cannot do it. Slowly and slowly pass this message around. Environment is very, very important. We need to take care of our environment. That is our second mother. The first mother, of course, is our biological mother. But can you imagine if there was no food, the water was acidic, what kind of a life would we have? This is all my message today, short and simple. Thank you for listening. Now, let's see if there are any questions anybody would want to ask me. Before that, we all can create something here. Okay, magic happens here. Don't forget, we all are magicians. Secondly, okay, don't take life too seriously, right? It's just a game. We all are going to die one day, right? And if we can play it well, we will enjoy life. One more. We all know this, the Australian boomerang. What you think, what you do today, it is going to come back to us. If it is not us, it will be our family. If not our family, our children. If not our children, our grandchildren. Now I understand Mother Teresa, what she was telling. I got all the answers after 40 years. It took me a long time. And to tell you, I've got two daughters. Okay, they have now settled in Australia. Even my daughters never believed when I told them the story of Mother Teresa. Why? Those days, there was no selfie. Mother, smile, click, take this, nothing. We were simple people. But 8 years ago, when we went back to Calcutta, I went to my friend's house again, which was opposite Mother Teresa's chapel, right? He was alive. He was there. My daughters met him. He brought his family to introduce my family. First thing my daughter said, Uncle, before you start anything, I just want to ask you one question. He says, Yes, darling, go ahead. What's your question? Why, did you and my father, she calls me Papa, did you and my Papa disturb Mother Teresa? You know? He says, Yes, just see, my house is just opposite Mother Teresa. That was when my daughter, who's a pediatrician now in Perth, she says, Papa, I believe your stories. Previously, I thought you were telling a big fat story to Chong people. Malaysians have a word, Chong. That means you're a big liar, but a good liar. Okay, that's all my sharing now. Theo, now I will pass the mic over to you. Let's see if there are any questions anyone has to ask me.